I was on my knees, scrubbing a deep red wine stain out of a $5,000 silk rug. That's when the sharp heel of a designer shoe pressed firmly into the back of my hand. I gasped. I looked up into the cold, dead eyes of Mrs. Scarlett. "You missed a spot, girl," she hissed. Her voice had that cruelty only old money can buy. She leaned down, her diamonds blinding me, and whispered, "Even the staff knows their place better than you." She thought I was just a ghost in a uniform, someone she could step on. Invisible, worthless. What she didn't know was that I had a secret that would change everything. My name is Maya, and this is the story of how a woman who treated me like dirt lost everything she ever valued. I took the job at the Scarlett estate because I was desperate. My grandmother Rose's medical bills were stacking up. I was one missed payment away from being on the street. Mrs. Scarlett, the staff called her the Ice Queen, lived to make us feel small. She had rules that made your skin crawl. No eye contact, no speaking unless spoken to. She once fired a girl just for humming a song while dusting. She acted like being poor was something shameful. Didn't want our low-class energy anywhere near her world. I swallowed my pride every single day. I ignored the insults. I kept scrubbing. I thought I was invisible. But Jack Scarlett, he really saw me. Jack was the CEO. He took over young, after his father died. He was handsome, sure, but he had eyes that actually looked at you. One night, around 2 in the morning, I was in the kitchen cleaning up after one of his mother's charity galas. Jack walked in, took off his tuxedo jacket, and sat at the island. I froze. I looked at the floor. "I'm almost finished, sir," I whispered. He stood up, walked over, and took the sponge right out of my hand. "Sit down, Maya," he said, "and please stop calling me sir." That night, we talked for 3 hours. He didn't see a maid. He saw a woman who loved poetry. He saw someone who read to her grandmother every night. He saw someone who deserved more than this world had given her. He fell in love with my soul while his mother was busy counting my flaws. We started meeting in the garden every night, usually when it was raining, so the cameras couldn't see us. But secrets don't stay buried in a house full of vipers. Mrs. Scarlett found a photo Jack had in his wallet. A picture of me laughing. She didn't scream. She waited. She waited until the biggest dinner party of the year. 20 of the richest people in the city were there. She stood up, tapped her glass, and pointed at me. "I'd like to make an announcement," she said. "It seems my son has a hobby of playing with someone beneath us. Maya, you're fired. Get out before I call the police." I felt the blood drain from my face. The whole room started whispering. I was ready to run. But Jack, he didn't move an inch. He stood up so fast his chair flew back. "Mother," he said, his voice like thunder. "If she's beneath you, then so am I. Because I'm marrying her." The room went dead silent. Mrs. Scarlett laughed. That cold, sharp laugh that made everyone's skin crawl. "You'll marry a socialite," she said. "If you choose her, you lose the company, you lose this house, you lose everything." Jack took my hand. "Keep the house, Mother," he said. "It's as empty as you are." We walked out with nothing. But here's the secret Mrs. Scarlett didn't know. My grandmother wasn't just a sick old woman in a hospital bed. Her name was Rose, and she wasn't poor. 30 years ago, she was the silent partner who helped start the Scarlett Empire. She gave Mrs. Scarlett's late husband the money to build everything. The mansion, the company, the legacy. And when he tried to cut her out, she made him sign a contract. A contract that said her share would pass to her granddaughter. To me, Mrs. Scarlett suspected something, but she was never sure. That's why she wanted me gone. That's why she humiliated me. That's why she tried to fire me before I could find out the truth. She wasn't protecting her son from a poor girl. She was protecting her empire from the rightful heir. The night we walked out, I took Jack to the hospital to meet my grandmother. She was weak, but her eyes were sharp. "You must be the young man my Maya loves," she whispered. Jack knelt beside her bed, Yes, ma'am. She smiled. Good. Because she's going to need someone she trusts. She handed me a key, a safe deposit box key. I wanted to tell you sooner, she said, but I needed to be sure you were strong enough to handle it. Handle what? I asked. The truth about who you really are. The next morning, Jack and I went to the bank. Inside the safe deposit box, there were documents, stock certificates, property deeds, and a letter. The letter was from my grandfather, the man who started the Scarlet Empire, the man Mrs. Scarlet's late husband had pushed aside. For the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid to speak. I read the letter out loud. Maya, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Your grandmother and I built this empire together, but we were betrayed. They stole our name. They stole our legacy, but they couldn't steal our shares. The company is half yours. The mansion mortgage is held by a trust in your name. You own more of that house than they do. Don't let them take anything else from you. I sat there, staring at the papers. My hands were shaking. Jack read over my shoulder. Then he smiled. My mother never knew this part. He whispered. She had no idea. He pointed to the mortgage document. The bank doesn't own this house. You do. Our lawyer confirmed everything within days. It was real. It was mine. A month later, we went back. Not to beg, not to fight. To take back what was ours. Mrs. Scarlet was sitting in her parlor, drinking tea, surrounded by her rich friends. When she saw us walk in, her face twisted with disgust. Security, she screamed. Remove these beggars. Jack held up his hand. I wouldn't do that, Mother. Why? Because you'll cry. He smiled. Because she owns this house now. Mrs. Scarlet laughed. Don't be ridiculous. I stepped forward. I placed the documents on the table. Your late husband took a loan from my grandfather 30 years ago. He used this house as collateral. The debt was never repaid. Her face went pale. The bank sold the mortgage to a trust in my grandmother's name, and she left it to me. Mrs. Scarlet's hands started shaking. You're lying. Read it yourself. She grabbed the papers. Her eyes scanned the pages. Her face turned from pale to gray. No, she whispered. No, this can't be. It is, I said. You spent 30 years looking down on people, treating servants like they were nothing, thinking money made you better than everyone else. I leaned closer. But the money was never yours. It was ours. You were just borrowing it. Her friends stared at her in shock. She looked at Jack. You knew? Jack nodded. I knew, and I still chose her. Not for the money, for who she is. Mrs. Scarlet's voice cracked. What are you going to do? I looked at Jack, then at the house. This place was never a home. It was a cage, a prison made of marble and cruelty. I picked up the documents. I'm not going to live here. I wouldn't want to. Then what? I smiled. I'm donating it. Donating, she gasped, to a foundation that helps abused domestic workers. Women you and your friends stepped on for years. They'll get job training, housing, a future. Mrs. Scarlet stood up. You can't do that. I can, because I own it now. Her friends slowly stood up. One by one, they walked out. None of them said a word to her. She was alone. For the first time in her life, completely alone. Jack took my hand. Let's go. We turned to leave. Wait, Mrs. Scarlet called out. Her voice was small now, broken. What am I supposed to do? I stopped. I looked back at her. The same thing you made everyone else do. Start over. From nothing. Her face crumbled. But I didn't feel sorry for her. She had 30 years to be kind. She chose cruelty instead. That was 2 years ago. The mansion is now a shelter for women who have nowhere else to go. Every time I visit, I see hope in their eyes. The same hope I had when I was scrubbing that rug. I heard through a friend that Mrs. Scarlet works at a small boutique now. Apparently, she's polite to her coworkers. I guess losing everything teaches you things money never could. My grandmother Rose passed away 6 months after we left the hospital. But she lived long enough to see justice. She died smiling. Jack and I live in a small house now. Not a mansion, not an empire, just a home. We have a garden. We sit in it every night. Sometimes it rains, and we remember the nights when the rain was the only thing hiding us from her eyes. The same hands that scrubbed her floors now own everything she ever valued. And this time, no one could take it away from me. I'm Maya, and this is the story of how I lost everything, found my true self, and bought the mansion from the woman who tried to destroy me.